Hello everyone, Bashar here. We are together to analyze update highlights of patch 820, which is going to bring the much desired and expected permanent super raids. As you may have noticed, they are cancelled as of now, so our two days of pure pain will end hopefully 8th of February when the patch is released. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, in the meanwhile, we will be suffering without super raids in Doom Tower and in Faction Wars. So let's get to it. I will get to the faction unity skills at the end. So they did come up with something very nice and powerful. Maybe a little bit too powerful, but we'll get that to the end. So let's first go over the stuff that we already did go over. So permanent super raids will be available in Doom Tower and Faction Wars, which we already had. But right now, the 4 loot dungeons, Dragon, Ice Golem, Fire Knight and Spider will get permanent super raids with the addition of Gear Ascension dungeons, the Sand Devil's Necropolis and Phantom Shogun's Grove. They will all have permanent super raids. It's a shame that Mino doesn't get one. I mean, as a content creator, we all gave feedback in that direction. Maybe a higher level of Mino or super raids in Mino. I mean, everyone is trying to, reduce the time that one has to invest in Mino. It is a little annoying. We'll see. So they said that it actually will be available when the White Queen Ancora fusion starts. So that will mean I think we might have a few more days of non-super raids. Could be tomorrow, but the 8th of February, or at the latest I think the 9th will do it. We will have to suffer in the meanwhile. The Fragment exchanges is coming. We do have a video on this. Altar of Souls is getting buffed up. So guys, you might remember me complaining about not having a single 6-star legendary soul, even though I have been farming Iron Twins relentlessly for almost a year now. I also do all events, and I also occasionally buy souls, the soul stones, and I still don't have a single 6-star legendary soul, and I'm not even talking about the bad one, right? I have just none, right? I think I have gotten 1 or 2 mythical 5-star souls and 2 5-star legendary souls and several 6-star epic souls, but I do not have a single 6-star mythical or legendary soul yet. I was unlucky in that. Most people do get 1 or 2, but thing is, they are still extremely rare. So both rank 6 souls and legendary souls will be buffed, right? So that's going to be good, and that also will make the completion of soul chase events significantly easier. And the wish list was a bit of a joke. I'm sure you have all noticed, when there are hundreds of champions in the pool, having double chance brings your chance from below 0.5% to below 1%, which doesn't do much. Now it's going to be 8 times the chance. So we will have approximately 4% ish, 3.5% chance to summon the souls that we wish listed. I think that's pretty big, it's not a negligible amount. So maybe 15 or 20x would have been better, but I will take whatever they are providing us with. I would love if they really brought the reserve feature I have been talking about. It's just something that I'm saying. I don't expect it to be happening, but it would be lovely, because guys, it's so frustrating. You see a soul that you really need, but you just don't have enough currency. You miss it, then you gather the stuff, and then you have to wait for maybe 2 months for it to appear again, right? What I wish is a reserve spot, right? and you can drag a soul that is in the shop there, so you can buy it when the time is opportune. The problem with that is Plarium would not like to do that, because you could do that during soul chase and you could get, tons of points. Now imagine you have a 5-star UDK, right, and there is a 6-star UDK soul in the shop, and you buy it, boom, whopping 1,000 points or so. You would get like 2 legendary books out of it, and all the rewards leading up there. So I don't think that's gonna happen. But as I said, I think it's very annoying to miss a soul and it never shows up again for 2 months, which can happen. I have had it. But of course, these are moves in the correct direction, so I appreciate it. Okay, so the blessings have been rebalanced, and we have seen what the stats provided will be. So now 6-star, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so the 6-star legendary champions will be getting a lot of stats from their blessings, right? And the thing is, we all have been worried because they are, unifying it. It's going to be a little bit lower, right? That's not the case, thankfully. I think it might even feature a little bit of extra, right? So there is a lot of HP, attack, defense, accuracy, resistance. As I said, I think it's approximately, all of them combined, and there might be a little bit of extra, right? So it is pretty good. I should have it somewhere, but Hmm. 8.5k HP, 750 attack, 600 defense, 38 crit damage, 75 resistance, 75 accuracy, 15 speed, guys. So that is what a 6-star legendary soul will provide for the champion that has it, right? All of it at once, which is quite magnificent, because, for example, with Siphi, you would go for, polymorph or intimidating presence. Of course, you have other options, but those are the popular ones, and they wouldn't provide the other stuff that these did. I mean, getting all of it at the same time. So, and this will, for example, provide. So, for example, you have a Georgette with, Phantom Touch or Soul Reap, and you would just get the attack, the crit damage, and the speed, and a little bit of HP maybe. Now you will be getting the extra 7,000 HP. You are getting the 600 defense. I mean, you don't really, want defense on Georgette, but some extra maybe will help you survive an attack. There is something in that. It is very powerful, and the legendary soul drop rate increase alongside with 6-star soul drop rate increase. 6-star souls will be quite the monster. So guys, sheep has been very annoying in PvP. They have nerfed it, but I don't fully understand how this is real nerf. So what they did is basically they limited the occurrence rate to once per turn. So from what I understand from this is, for example, your Taras feared the enemy Siphi at the beginning of combat, right? Auto. And Siphi has a 6-star polymorph, and Siphi sheeped your Taras. Okay. And then you sleep that Siphi with your Siphi, then she cannot sheep you. That's it. Because she has already sheeped someone. But when she takes a turn, the counter resets so she can polymorph you again. So this only works if the enemy polymorphs you multiple times per turn. I don't see the real nerf here. I mean, guys, polymorph working gets you done anyway, right? Most of the time. And I haven't seen multiple polymorph procs in a single turn too many times. I mean, I'm not PvPing at the top level, but still, I feel this is a little bit underwhelming. So, from my perspective, Gold 2 Tag Team Arena and Gold 5 Arena player, I would say this does not reduce the potential by 1%. I think it's... So, it could have been once per round, which means, or once per combat. So that would have been the real deal, right? I mean, he polymorphs you once, and then he never polymorphs you again. I think that could have been good, right? Maybe it would be too harsh a nerf, but this just doesn't change anything from what I can tell. Carapace has been reworked to emergency heal. Used to be the champion received less damage when he CC'd. Now, whenever a shield expires on the champion in question, the champion gets healed. So guys, this doesn't look like much, but this does open a huge solo potential for a lot of champions. Guys, imagine shield rings. I have a champion, right? And he attacks, deals 5,000 damage, opens a lousy 250 shield, 250, right? Not 2.5k. The guy breaks it and I get healed by 15%. Imagine I have, let's say, 60k HP. I'm going to heal for 9k, right? You could solo a lot of content. It is pretty good. I mean, it is only good for this niche use, but I think it can help a lot of people. Yeah. And I think that's the main use. And by the way, guys, if you are, considering, wondering why the bonuses are, I mean, it's a little bit small on the screen, but the bonuses are only listed for 1, 3, 5, and 6 stars. The thing with that is, so 2 and 4 stars do not exist there. The reason for that is 2 and 4 provide all around passive stat bonuses instead of empowering the blessing. That's why they are not listed. So they do not increase the magnitude of the blessing, right? So it's not stated, but all of the blessings provide passive stats, and now they will all provide the same amount of stats. So you will select the blessing for the blessing only and not the stats. So for example, you would pick the skeleton stingy for Taras because it's the only one that provided HP and crit damage at the same time. There is no such thing now. You can just select anything. They will all provide the same amount of stats, which is, I think, a nice move. And considering they didn't nerf it, lethal dose was horrible, and now it is horrible. Because the problem is with this blessing, guys, it does it increases the damage the enemies take from poisons or something in arena only, right? That is the problem, in arena only. I mean, poison is notoriously bad in arena, right? And what it does is, so it has been buffed by 100%, right? The 1 star increases damage enemies receive poisons from 50% up from 25%, 100% up from 50%, and 200% up from 100%. Now guys, let's assume I have a 200% one, right? I apply 3 poisons to the entire enemy team, which is very much in question because there will be always some champions that have resistance. But let's say I did. Instead of 15%, I will be dealing 45%. Well, that is not too bad when I put it like that. But the problem is, there will almost always be debuff removers. There will almost always be champions that have resistance. And a straight hit to the face is better than poisons. So I don't think it's gonna do anything. Maybe if it was buffed a little more, it could. Dark Resolve used to prevent a few hard CC debuffs. Now it's been completely reversed. It's a different blessing now. The champion deals more damage for each dead ally on their team. So it looks horrible, guys. But it's not that bad because it can be used for solo champions, right? Imagine you have Artak soloing Ice Golem. Imagine you have Artak soloing Spider. Imagine you have any solo champion, right? So of course, sadly, it will not increase the damage from damage over time effects or bomb effects, but the damage that Artak himself deals will be increased. But mostly, of course, guys, most solo champions do their damage in the way of poisons and HP burns. So yeah, but I mean, unless the blessing you currently have on your solo champion is doing a lot of work, this is still better, right? It will make the process a little bit faster. Yeah, I mean, I'm not very much sold to what I'm saying, because thing is, we do equip those champions with very high survivability and very little damage, right? So they don't have crit rate, they don't have crit damage, they just do some damage. I mean, for dead allies, let's say you have a 5-star, which means 10% increased damage. I mean, it is not nothing, right? So if you don't have a blessing that's doing something for your champion, you could select this one, right? It would have been, of course, magnificent if it increased the damage from the poisons and the HP burns, of course. Iron Will has been reworked. Decreases the damage this champion receives according to the number of debuffs on them. Terrible. I have 4 debuffs on me, which is a big number, and I have a 6-star blessing, which is huge, right? It's not, as I said, I do not have any 6-star legendary souls, legendary champion question, and I'm going to receive 8% less damage. I would say trash. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Heaven Cast has been reworked into increased damage inflicted. So that is better, obviously, right? Heaven Cast and Iron Will are the reverse versions. So the champion deals more damage for each buff on them. This actually is the PvP nuker. I mean, I have to compare it with Phantom Touch, but yeah. So guys, imagine, for my team, I do have a Necret, which protects my George at the beginning of the fight, and I do have a Siphi, and I do have an Arbiter. That is my arena team, so let's think about it. Arbiter puts up increased attack, Siphi puts up increased defense, increased speed, block debuffs, that's 4 buffs. Necret puts up ally protection, 5. Necret puts up strengthen, that's 6. The block debuffs is already there, so we don't count it. So my Georgid will have 6 buffs on him. And if I have a 6-star soul on him, my Georgid will deal 12% extra damage. Well guys, Phantom Touch is a little bit too good. Have to compare, but I don't think it catches up. Yeah, but not bad at all. And this definitely is the blessing to go for if you are talking about not a attack-based champion, because Phantom Touch deals the bonus damage based on the attack of the champion, right? So if you are talking about a Taras, if you are talking about Staltus, right, non-attack based champions, this is the blessing to go for right now, I think. And with Taras, the team is notorious for having many buffs because that's how Taras scales. So, you have like 8 buffs or like 5 buffs on Taras. He's gonna deal 10% more damage, blah blah, right? And he's already pretty good. So yeah. For attack-based champions, the tier crafting has to be done, but for non-attack based champions, HP and defense based champions, this is definitely the one to go for now. I think that so they did a good work on this one. The reason that the other one is not good is having buffs on you is something you have control over. Having debuffs on you is not something you have control over, right? And it should have been more rewarding, right? They are exactly the same. Indomitable Spirit has been reworked. Has a chance to block hard CCs, some of it. The other one was doing that one as well. Yeah, so they have been reworked into one blessing, which is the natural thing. Yeah, and the change is the 6-star soul now has a 30% chance of blocking those hard CCs. And the internal cooldown just gets removed. I mean, this will mean the enemy tries to stun you, sleep you, and fear you in the same turn, and you will have a 30% chance of blocking them all. Okay. Could be used for some Synthranos rooms, maybe. Nothing too bad. Faultless defense has been reversed. Faultless defense was not actually too bad. They could have kept it. So instead of reducing the damage for multiple hits, now the what now? Oh, it's very specific and interesting now. This is so when I first discussed this one, I think I made a mistake. This actually is a little bit better than expected. So this is like a pseudo geo, right? Not exactly geo, but I mean, so whenever an enemy attacks an ally under an increased defense placed by this guy, it reflects. So guys, you have a Sifir, right? She puts an increased defense on your entire team, and if the Sifir has a 6-star blessing and the enemy AoEs you, and they will receive 15% of that damage in their face, and that will mean death for nukers all the time ish. Maybe Taras will survive, but yeah, 15%, guys, that's not too bad. And so when I first read this one, not right now, but when I first saw it, I thought it was the champion itself. It actually is any ally under an increased defense buff placed by this champion. So, AoE increased defense champions can actually make use of this. And because it is based on what they do, yeah, this can be used to kill enemy nukers very, very easily, by the way. I mean, for example, guys, a George it hits for so much, 15% of what he does is going to kill him, 10 times over. I mean, he could even kill himself with a single target. I like the work they did overall, right? I didn't like maybe one of them, but most of them seem moves in the general right direction. I also wanted, some more accessibility for souls, which they also did. 6-star souls increased, legendary souls increased, and whatnot. So we have Fortus and Angar buffs, as I have stated in my previous video. We are done with these. So let us now take a look at what's coming in the patch, right? Which champions are coming. So we have a few champions. There we go. Let's zoom in a bit. So this is a rare that's coming. I mean, I'm just gonna skim over it, and even though he is a rare, he does have the kit of an epic or so. He has a passive and whatnot. He does have pretty useful skills. So when booked, he has a 40% chance of placing a stun twice. which is actually pretty high, guys. So he approximately has a 65% chance of stunning. And also, he has a 50% chance of reducing the turn meter by 5% each, again. And if the enemy is actually under a decreased speed placed by this guy, the turn meter reduction increases to 10%. So 50% chance to reduce turn meter 10% twice. I mean, that is, I think, a little bit loaded for A1 of a rare. Attacks all enemies, places a weak decreased speed. I mean, as I said, this is a rare only. Yeah, I mean, you can tell the power creep, right? I mean, take a look at the old rares and take a look at this guy. He's just insanely good. Force defense affinity. Force affinity defense champion from Sylvan Watchers, by the way. They are trying to fill the Sylvan Watchers. Places a 25% increase accuracy buff on allies, all allies, and then teams up with a random ally to attack target enemy. I mean, these are, as I said, way above what a rare can do. And I don't mind, right? It could be useful. I would say if you guys get this guy from a shard, keep him around. You know, maybe you can use him in Sintranos at some point. I would keep one for sure. And he also has a passive. So when he places his decreased speed, if he manages to place it on 3 or more enemies, he has a 50% chance of getting an extra turn. I mean, yeah. Quite powerful rare. Let us take a look to the next champion in question. What do we have? Okay, we do have the 2 mythical champions, and I also am aware that we have skipped the feature at the beginning. We'll get to that. So, Star Sage Galathir, that is a high elf support champion, mythical. His main form is a support, and I think his alternate form is a support as well. So what he does is he attacks all enemies, fills the turn meters of all allies by 10%. So guys, that is magnificent for A1, right? If we are talking about Hydra, for example, that would mean 60% turn meter gain total. Also, fills the turn meter of each ally by an extra 5% if they have any active buffs placed on them by this champion. And as you can guess, he can buff. 15% turn meter on all allies is insane. I don't think it exists. You know, 15% on himself exists. 15% entire team is just insane. Very, very good. Books 20% more damage. Let's see the A2. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals them by 25% of this champion's max HP, which we will build with a lot of HP, so we can get a lot of healing out of this. Also fills the turn meters by 15% and places a block debuff. The heck now? Oof. Well, I normally don't really like... so this champion gives me a Hydra vibe. I don't like non-hitting abilities too much, but I think this does so much it could be justified. I mean, this is so good. And the heal gets 20% increase with the book. Very lovely. She's a bit like Duchess. Bit. Not exactly. Revives everyone with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. And also places perfect veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So because it doesn't say this can be used while there are no dead allies, I think that will not be the case. So he can't be used to counter the Fearhead. Still looks pretty decent. The passive effect gives him 25% damage reduction for each 100 res, which means you give him 500 res, which we will, right? He will take 25% less damage, which is magnificent, but of course, you know, contrary to Duchess, it's not for everyone. He just himself receives 25% less damage. And also the what now? Prevents this champion's death and keeps them alive on 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit, then equalizes their HP. The HP level of this champion will be brought up to the average HP level of the team. And that's on a 3-turn cooldown only. Ooh. Well, that is a little bit good. Let's take a look at his alternate form. He is a support champion again. He's A1. It looks like he is something like the reverse form of what he is in the base form. So this time he decreases turn meters by 10%. He also decreases the an extra 5% if they have any block active skills, decrease resistance or stuns. And by the way, guys, don't worry. I mean, you could panic now. You know, the main form is requiring resistance and the alternate form requires accuracy. They always do some nice stuff. I'm sure there will be some sort of resistance into accuracy conversion here, so you know the champion will be able to debuff with no problems. The A2 attacks everyone before attacking, removes all buffs. That's great because you will not be subjected to, you know, the reverse affinity shenanigans. The guy is red, so you know, green affinity we will not mind because it does it before attacking, and it will not trigger counter attacks. That's awfully specific. And also puts up a block active skills. So this is of course not for Hydra. This form is not for Hydra, but he can be extremely useful in trash waves, right? I mean, Doom Tower, should you need him there. Synchronos definitely for the, you know, areas that he, you know, meets the criteria. And the third one places any 50% increase accuracy buffs on everyone, then places a decreased resistance on the enemy, and then stuns everyone. Extreme CC, yeah, nice. And yeah, so when placing debuffs or activating instant effects, he 75% of his resistance is converted to his accuracy, right? And guys, if you imagine you have like 200 accuracy out of nowhere and you have like 500 resistance, you will have again like 600 accuracy or so, which will be enough for almost everything. Yeah, and if an enemy's accuracy is higher than this champion's resistance, okay, could be the case in PvP, has a 50% chance of transferring any fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, hard CC as I call them, debuffs back to the enemy when placing debuffs on this champion. So for example, the enemy has a Mitrala, right? You have 500 resistance and Mitrala has 700 accuracy, let's say, you know, and you attack Mitrala with the hex on you, you get petrified and bang, transfers. Yeah, okay. Well, you will not be able to transfer to Mitrala probably because she also has insane resistance, but yeah. She also has a 80 top-notch resistance aura. Well, this form is, as I said, extremely good for trash waves that can be challenging for you, you know, in hard dungeons, in Synchronos levels, in Doom Tower levels. The amount of CC that's being applied is insane. You know, if you cannot hard CC, you have block active skills. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And the base form is pretty nice too. Yeah, I like him. And let's take a look at the other fella. We have a Barbarian Defense fella. So what he does, in his base form, he's a defense-based Barbarian, Force Affinity. Attacks one enemy twice, places an extra hit if the target is under a shield buff, will ignore shield. Yeah, that is pretty nasty. So you get a 50% damage up, all the while not allowing them to benefit from their own shield. Pretty nice. This guy, I think, was a pretty good nuker. Attacks all enemies before attacking, So guys, I love this kind of champion. The champion that brings their own buff, right? Stultus, Cupidus. It's very nice. You don't have to rely on someone else to, buff them and increase their damage. They can increase their own damage because this is a defense-based champion. That basically means he's gonna deal 60% more damage with this ability. And if the hit brings an enemy below 50%, he does an extra hit like half rack. Not on everyone, but the targets that have less than 50%. And if they do not go below 50%, destroys their HP by 30% of the damage that's inflicted. Well, I'm sold. Looks pretty good. We will have to see the multipliers, but I am gonna guess that it's gonna be good. Provokes a single target. Okay. This debuff cannot be resisted if target has less than 50% HP. Okay. So this is a little bit underwhelming, but I'm sure more is coming. Also places a counterattack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Oh. And the block damage buff on all allies. Wow, wow, ooh. A lot more where it was actually coming. Ooh. That is pretty serious. Provoke, counterattack on everyone, and block damage on everyone. Pretty nice champion. On a 3-turn cooldown. And the passive is whenever he counterattacks, he gains 5% defense up to 100%. Ooh. Hydra battles, here I come. And he has a top-notch defense aura, 35%. Yeah, I would say that is pretty good. He can do extreme amounts of damage for sure. Yeah. And he also brings the provoke, so we can use him to handle the provoked. Yeah, we'll have to see the multipliers, of course. And let's see his alternate form. And then we finally have the feature to review. Okay, in his alternate form, he's an HP based champion, and if it's the same case with the last champion, then he will have something here that will convert his defense into HP, so he can do damage. Attacks all enemies, place an extra hit on enemies under HP burn debuffs. So if this was an old design, that would be it, right? But he will be placing some HP burn for sure. Here it comes, Solar Flare. Attacks all enemies, place an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. This cannot be resisted on enemies Stone Skin. PvP. Okay. Then instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on enemies under a Stone Skin buff. Yeah, so guys, that means, I think Stone Skin has had his damage taken by HP burn debuffs increased by 5 times. So on a Stone Skin champion, the HP burn actually inflicts 15% damage instead of 3%. Yeah. So if the enemy is completely under HP, completely under Stone Skin, this actually will inflict 60% damage to them. Right? And from what I recall, I think if they take something like 50%, the Stone Skin would break as well. So this would fully break the Stone Skins and deal 60% damage to a team that is fully under Stone Skin. Interesting. And also plays the True Fear. Well, not bad. And we have something interesting. Fully restores all destroyed max HP and heals everyone by 30% of this guy's max HP. He's going to have something like 100k, I think. He's an HP based champion. And also places a strengthen buff and an increased resistance buff. Wow. He doesn't seem too much like support, but yeah, he also supports. And here the passive comes. His HP is increased by 6 for every defense they have when in their alternate form. So let's say you have like 50k HP and 6k defense on this guy. So you're gonna have 86k HP in this form. Not bad. Increases the chance of enemy skills not activating when under fear or true fear debuffs by 20%, while also under an HP burn debuff. So the chance for them to lose their turn goes up to 70% if they have an HP burn on them. What an interesting wording. Yeah, yeah. Well, I like him as well. Nice champions. Right. These are nicely designed. I like them. And guys, let's go back to the future. So I have skipped this, the most magnificent thing. So they have cooked up something nice, faction unit skills. So there will be some real champions of their faction coming to the game, and they will not be in the summon pool, so they will be obtained from special events. And I do advise each of you to definitely get these, no matter what, if you can. So they have revealed the Bannerlord one, which we will review in a minute. So what this means is they have one or more skills that get more powerful if they have people from the same faction along the team. So let's say we are talking about Sylvan Watchers faction unit skills. It says my A3 is better when I have one Sylvan in the team. It's even better if I have two more Sylvans in the team, and it gets maxed out when I have three more Sylvans in the team, which means in the arena you can max out by sticking to a single faction. And the first one we have, they revealed, is the Bannerlord one, which is a little bit extremely too good. Let us review him. Okay. So this is the guy. So the problem with this guy is he is on the same faction with Taras and Marichka, right? And they are already a little bit too good, and now they will be absolutely broken. You could do, Staltus, Aislinn, Taras, Marichka, or you could do two Taras, Marichka, and Aislinn, and tough luck for everyone that comes your way. Let's read, and you will, I'm sure, agree with me. So he's a legendary champion from Spirit Affinity, defense based. So his A1 has a 75% of stunning, right? That is not, something to frown upon. 75% A1 stun, pretty serious. And also will ignore 25% of the target's resistance if the champion is under a if this one is under a shield buff, right? That's actually important. But the problem with this ability is, so I was a little bit sold by this ability, but thing is, I then considered this guy is quite supportive, and he doesn't utilize accuracy. So if you invest in accuracy for this champion, it will be only for that stun on the A1. I don't think there is anything else. Let's take a look. The second ability heals all ally by the total value of shields on all allies. That's not bad because he does put up a very nice shield, as you'll see. Then removes all shields from all allies and attacks all enemies. The damage dealt by this attack is equal to the total value of the shields removed. Damage cannot exceed 1000% of this champion's defense. So if you have a shield of, let's say, 150k, let's say 40k, 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 and 30k, right? Just for the sake of argument. So he's going to deal 150k? Oh. That's interesting. That is a lot of damage. And it books up by the heal, not by the damage. Interesting. So now, guys, here comes the bombs. So these, the A3 and the passive ability and the aura are all faction unity abilities, not skills, maybe. Yeah, these two are skills, and the aura is the aura. It is still faction themed. Let's take a look at it. So he puts up a buff, HP shield buff, 30% of his HP, which is pretty good. We always look for the shield to be scaling of the champion's HP and not on the target's HP, right? Because we can make this guy very tanky, right? We cannot make Georgid very tanky, for example. Well, Taras is tanky. That's something else, of course. And then he also puts up an ally protection on everyone else, which is not bad, shield plus ally protection. Now comes the crazy part. So if you have one Bannerlord on the team alongside with this guy, right? Let's say you have a Taras here. So when you revive an ally, this skill immediately gets activated, right? So your Ronda is revived, and everyone gets a 30% shield and an ally protection, right? And the skill will not go on cooldown. So it doesn't say that, but I wonder if it activates if it's on cooldown. I think it should say that. I have a feeling that it will activate, but I'm not 100% sure because it doesn't say that, right? It doesn't say if the skill will activate if it's on cooldown. Anyway, if you have two Bannerlords in the team, also puts up a block damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. And the point of that is, guys, other than this champion not taking damage, because he has placed ally protection on everyone, that means your entire team will receive 50% less damage. So this guy will receive 0, and the rest of your team will receive 50% less. And the thing is, the bonuses apply to everyone, not just Bannerlords. I mean, let's say you have two Bannerlords, this guy, and one Skinwalker. The Skinwalker will benefit from the stuff too. And if you have 3 faction allies, everything is protected. I mean, the shield, the ally protection, and the block damage are all permanent. Well, not permanent, but they cannot be removed. I'm going to guess they didn't say exactly protected, but I think they cannot be stolen, transferred, or anything either. That's what I guess. And let's take a look at the passive. That will definitely drive you over the edge. It's just insane now. Allies under shield buff receive 10% less damage. Lovely, right? And here comes so this is not a bad passive, right? 10% damage reduction is decent. And here comes the unity part again. So if you have one Bannerlord on the team, allies with shield are immune to hard CCs. You do not get stunned, sheeped, freezed, provoked, feared, petrified. Immune. And as I said, it's not for Bannerlords only. If you have a single Bannerlord outside this guy and 2 other guys or 3 other guys, whatever it is, they will not get any of those, right? I mean, which means you can bring this guy with a single Bannerlord to counter the Feared in Hydra, right? I mean, their uses are myriad. 2 allies. Allies under ally protection buffs have a 20% chance of counterattacking when hit. I mean, insane, right? I mean, he puts it up, you will be counterattacking, and you can bring this guy, for example, to Hydra with a buff extender or something. And if you have 3 allies, they will also be protected, so you don't have to worry about them, being stolen. So you bring like 2 buff extenders, and Taras is a buff extender. You can make them permanent. Yeah, this is a bit too good, guys. I mean, I would love to have this guy, and my Bannerlord sucks, but still, this is, I think, a little bit too good if you have Taras and Marichka. And finally, the value of all ally shield buffs is increased by a damn 100%, except for shield buffs granted by artifact sets, which means this guy will put up a 60% of his HP in shield that is protected, right? And let's say, I have a insane gear and I gave this guy 100k HP, right? So he's gonna put up a 60k shield on everyone, which means in Hydra I will have a 360,000 shield, right? And then he will attack Hydra heads for 360,000 damage before critting. The actual what now? So he can deal like 4 million or something in a single hit, which is more than what Acrizia can do. I mean, and his protection skills, his support skills are, more than enough, right? And he can also deal the hardest damage in the game. Well, it is capped by 1,000% of this guy's, so 10 times what his defense is. You give him 4,000 defense, okay, that is capped there. Okay, that's nice, right? I mean, you give him 6,000 defense, which is extremely high anyway. So he cannot be, okay, that's, okay. I counted myself there. I mean, that would have been absolutely insane. Okay, that's good. It's not still absolutely insane though. And finally, he has a 25% defense aura that goes for everyone. And also has a 15% HP aura for Bannerlords only. So he gives himself 25% defense and 15% HP, and Taras and Marichka as well, but not Nishak, for example. So this is this feature, and I'm guessing all of them will be as broken as this. You know, these are insane. They should definitely be obtained. I think it's a very nice idea. The faction unity skills are a very nice idea, but this is a little bit too good. So that is it for patch 8.20. This was a rather long video, and I will see you on stream, guys. Bye bye.